mga bata. Bago natin simulan ang lesson natin ngayong araw na ito, ay nais ko munang batiin ang napakasipag at very supportive na Ma'am Charity D. Almeniana from San Pedro National High School, Santo Tomas, Batangas. Magandang araw po sa inyo, Ma'am! Again, good day everyone! For today's video, we will be discussing the principles of counting. For our lesson objectives, at the end of the lesson, students are expected to first, identify the steps to express fundamental counting principle. Second, solve the total number of outcomes in an experiment by using the fundamental principle of counting. Let's have first addition principle of counting. If event A can occur in m ways and event B can occur in n ways, then A or B can occur in m plus n ways. This is the rule of sum or addition, and this is the basic principle of counting. It is the idea that if we have m number of ways of doing or choosing something and n number of ways of doing another thing, then hindi natin sila pwedeng gawin ng magkasabay. So we're going to add the number of ways of doing event A and the number of ways of doing event B. Let's have the first example. Cookie Bake Shop has 10 hopia, 14 chocolate cupcakes, and 8 cheesy ensaymada left at the end of the day. Mia rushes in as they are about to close. How many types of bread can she choose from? So in our problem, we have 3 types of bread na pwedeng pagpilian ni Mia. So wala namang condition that she need to choose, for example, hopia first before choosing another type of bread. The problem only stated that she will be choosing a bread. So in this kind of problem, we will be applying the addition principles of counting. For our solution, so yun nga, since the breads are all different, add the quantities of these breads to find the number of types of bread she can choose. So we're going to add 10 hopia plus 14 chocolate cupcakes plus 8 cheesy ensaymada. So for our answer, we have 32 breads. So Mia has a choice of 32 breads. Next example. The Supreme Student Government requires one student representative from either grade 7 or the grade 8 or the grade 9. If there are 28 grade 7, 35 grade 8, and 39 grade 9 qualified students, how many different choices for representatives are there? So, the Supreme Student Government will only choose one representative out of the 3 grade levels. So, we will be applying also the addition principles of counting. So, for our solution, grade 7 plus the number of students from grade 8 plus the number of students from grade 9. So, we have 28 plus 35 plus 39. So, our answer is there are 102 choices for representative. Let's move on with multiplication principle of counting. This principle is also called the fundamental principle of counting. It states that if the first event can happen in m ways and the second in n ways after the first has happened, then the 2 events can occur in m times n ways. In multiplication principle of counting, we will be considering order of events. So the fundamental principle of counting can be expressed as a 3-step process. First, determine the events. Second, determine the number of options for each event. And third, multiply the number of options for each event to determine the number of possible outcomes. Let's have the first example. Robin has a 10, 5, and 1 peso coin. If he will toss it all, in how many ways the 3 coins will fall? Let us follow the steps. Step 1, determine the events. So our events are 10 peso coin, 5 peso coin, and 1 peso coin. For the second step, determine the number of options for each events. For 10 peso coin, the options are head and tail. So we have 2. For 5 peso coin, we have also head and tail. So this is also 2 options. And for 1 peso coin, head and tail, 2 also. For step 3, multiply the number of options for each event. So 2 for 10 peso coin times 2 for 5 peso coin times 2 for 1 peso coin equals 8 possible outcomes. Next, Suga's Ice Cream Parlor offers 12 flavors of ice cream which can be served on a waffle, sugar, or plain cone. How many different single scoop ice cream cones is it possible to buy in the parlor? Step 1, again, determine the events. So the events in our problem are flavors of ice cream and types of cone. Step 2, determine the number of options for each event. For flavors of ice cream, we have 12. And for types of cones, we have 3. Third step, multiply the number of options for each event. 12 for the flavors and 3 for the types of cones. So we have 36 ways of choosing a single scoop ice cream cone at the parlor. The fundamental principle of counting can also be used for problems with restrictions or conditions. Example, in 2014, automobile licenses plates display 3 letters followed by 4 digits. How many such plates are possible if repetition of letters for letter A is allowed and for letter B is not allowed? Let's have first repetition of letters is allowed. So we have 7 characters for the licenses plates. The first 3 characters are for the letters and the remaining 4 characters are for the digits. In our alphabet, meron tayong 26 letters which are from A to Z. So on the first character, we have 26 choices of letters. Then on the second character, dahil repetition of letters is allowed, yung nagamit na natin for the first character ay pwede pa rin gamitin para sa second character. Therefore, we have 26 choices pa rin dun sa second character. Then for the third character, pwede ulit natin gamitin yung nagamit na for the first and for the second. Sa pagpipili ang letters pa rin para sa third character ay 26. Then for the remaining 4 characters, we will be using digits. So wala namang conditions para sa digits. So ang ating pagpipilian ay from 0 to 9. Therefore, we have 10 choices for the digits. So on our 4th character, we have 10 choices. And for our 5th up to the 7th character, meron din tayong tigsa 10 choices. Therefore, we have 26 times 26 times 26 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So our answer is 175,760,000 possible license plates if repetition of letters is allowed. Next, let's have repetition of letters is not allowed. So for the first character, again, meron tayong 26 choices for the letters. Then for the second character, dahil hindi na pwedeng gamitin yung nagamit na nung una, so meron na lang tayong 25 letters na pwedeng gamitin para sa second character. Then for the third character, again, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung nagamit na sa first at sa second. So nandito na lang sa third character ay meron na lang tayong 24 choices of letters. Then for the remaining 4 characters, this is for the digits. Wala namang conditions for the digits. So ang pagpipilian pa rin ay from 0 to 9. So we have 10 for the 4th, 10 for the 5th, 10 for the 6th, at ganun din sa 7th character, 10 pa rin. So our answer is 26 times 25 times 24 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So therefore, we have 156 million possible license plates if repetition of letters is not allowed. Let's have the next example. 10 horses are entered in a race. In how many different ways can first, second, and third place be decided? Assume that there is no tie. For our solution, so this is for the first place, the second place, and the third place. So based on our problem, we have 10 horses that are entered in a race. For the first place, we have 10 horses na pwedeng manalo as first place. Then for the second place, so yung nanalo na sa first place, hindi na siya pwedeng manalo as second place. So meron na lang tayong 9 horses na pwedeng manalo as second place. Then for the third place, so hindi na ulit pwedeng manalo yung nanalo na ng first at second. So sa third ay ang pagpipilian na lang natin ay 8 horses. So therefore, we have 10 times 9 times 8. So we have 720 ways that we can choose a first, second, and third place on our race. Let's have the third example. A 4-digit number is to be composed from the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Repetition of digits is allowed and no number may begin with a 0. Let us answer the following questions. Letter A, how many ways can the composition be done? Letter B, how many of these numbers are divisible by 5? For letter C, how many of these numbers are less than 4,000? And for letter D, how many of these numbers are even? So in our problem, the condition is repetition of digits is allowed pero hindi pwedeng magsimula sa 0 yung ating 4-digit number. Okay, so let's have letter A. How many ways can the composition be done? So on the first digit, hindi tayo pwedeng gumamit ng 0, kaya ang choices natin ay from 1 to 7. So therefore, ang ilalagay natin dito ay 7. Then for the remaining digits, dito sa tatlong to, ay pwede na tayong gumamit ng 0 at pwede tayong mag-ulit ng numbers. So we have 8 options which are from 0 to 7 for the second, third, and last digit. So we have 8, then 8 also for our third and fourth digits. Then multiply, so we have 7 times 8 times 8 times 8. So we have 3,584 ways of writing a 4-digit number. So let's have letter B. How many of these numbers are divisible by 5? So pag sinabing divisible by 5, ito yung mga numbers na nagtatapos sa 0 or 5. So let us begin with the last digit. In our choices, which are from 0 to 7, ang pwede lang natin gamitin as last digit ay yung 0 at 5. So meron tayong 2 choices for the last digit. And for the first digit, again, hindi pwedeng gumamit ng 0, kaya ang pwede lang natin gamitin ay from 1 to 7. So we have 7 options for the first digit. And for the remaining 2 digits, which are the second and the third digits, pwede na natin gamitin yung 0 at pwedeng maulit yung mga numbers na nagamit na natin nung una at huli. So we have 8 options and 8 options also for the third digit. So let us multiply. 7 times 8 times 8 times 2 is equal to 896 ways of writing numbers that are divisible by 5 or writing a 4-digit numbers that are divisible by 5. Next, let's have letter C. How many of these numbers are less than 4,000? So numbers that are less than 4,000 are numbers from 3,999 and below. For the first digit, ang pwede lang natin gamitin ay numbers 1, 2, at 3. So hindi natin pwedeng gamitin ang 0 kasi hindi pwedeng magsimula sa 0. At kung gagamitin naman natin yung numbers 4, 5, 6, and 7, magiging greater than 4,000 yung ating 4-digit number. So for the first digit, ang pwede lang natin gamitin ay 3 options only. Then, for the remaining digits, so dahil nga ang ating number, the maximum number that is less than 4,000 is 3,999. So, ang pwede natin gamitin para sa tatlong number na to ay 9 and below. So, ibig sabihin, pwede natin gamitin lahat ng choices from 0 to 7 para sa second up to the fourth digit. We have 8, 8, and 8. Let us multiply. So 3 times 8 times 8 times 8 is equal to 1,536 ways of writing numbers or 4-digit numbers that are less than 4,000. Next, for the last question, we have how many of these numbers are even? So when we say even numbers, they are numbers that can be divided by 2 or numbers that end with 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So let us first write the number of options for the last digit. So in our given, ang pwede lang natin magamit for last digit ay 0, 2, 4, and 6. So we have 4 options for the last digit. So let's have the first digit. Again, hindi tayo pwedeng gumamit ng 0. So we have 7 options for our first digit. And for the remaining 2 digits, which are the second and the third digit, pwede na tayong gumamit ng 0 at pwedeng maulit yung mga numbers na nagamit na natin. So this is 8 and this is also 8. So then multiply 7 times 8 times 8 times 4 is equal to 1,792 ways to write a 4-digit even numbers.